All right, good day, everybody. Steve Prziborowski here. Welcome to episode 22 of Reach for the Firefighter Badge. Episode 22 is going to discuss items that may disqualify a firefighter candidate at any time during the hiring process. As a reminder, my two websites, code3firetraining.com and chabotfire.com, have lots of great free information on there for folks from any part of the country and wanting to work for any type of department. Lots of great stuff on there to keep you busy for hours. These webinars are based on two of the books I've had published, The Future Firefighter's Preparation Guide, as well as Reach for the Firefighter Badge, both two distinctly different but complementary books available off of my websites. So I get this question a lot of, hey, Chief, hey, Steve, what's going to maybe disqualify me? There is, I think, no one easy answer, because here's the thing. What disqualifies someone at one department may not be the same for the next department. You can put 1,000 fire departments next to each other. They'll probably all have maybe 1,000 different things that they may think will disqualify someone. So there is no right, there is no wrong. So just because I'm saying something here does not mean that you're never going to be a firefighter, because I get a lot of people say, well, Chief, I got a DUI in my background, so that means I'm pretty much screwed, right? No. I mean, some departments may not touch you with a DUI at all. Some may say, well, check back in 3 years, or wait till the DUI has been off your record for 3 years or 5 years or something like that. Every department's different, so you can't get wrapped around the axle about what you read or hear or see just from one department. So hopefully you don't have that many things in your background that are going to keep you from getting hired. But you know what, let's discuss some of these items. So I saw this, I've taken this from a number of different fire department applications I've seen over the years, and a lot of these things seem pretty consistent and pretty obvious. And it's not just about background investigation, it's just about things you may or may not do during the process. So some obvious things: failure to keep a scheduled appointment with the fire department or related to the hiring process. Meaning, let's say you're scheduled to submit your application by 5 p.m. today and you submit it at 5:01. Sorry, denied. Or you're scheduled for the written test 8 a.m. Saturday morning and you forget it, or you show up at 8:03. Denied. Have a nice day. Yeah, it sucks, but you gotta be organized to be able to schedule all of your appointments so you don't miss anything. And as I shared earlier, you make sure you're there plenty of time to spare. Plan for traffic, plan for parking challenges, plan for stuff to go wrong. So get there early. Next item: falsifications or intentional omissions of any information requested of you during the process. So if you think about it, all the information requested of you, they're going to require you to fill out an application. A job application is typically anywhere from 3, 4, 5 pages. List your educational history, employment history, contact information, training and education. Then if you do well in the oral interview and you go to a background investigation, the background investigation could be like 15, 20, 25 pages. And I've encouraged people in previous webinars, go to my website, chabotfire.com, go to the free stuff link and scroll down. You'll see a background investigation packet, a Word document you can review. It's very overwhelming the first time you have to fill out one of those documents because they're asking for a lot of stuff, but it is what it is. We've all had to fill them out. You will too. So regarding background investigations, application packets, or anything else they give you to fill out, it usually says at the bottom, literally, before you sign it, I sign, under whatever penalty of perjury or, risk of being, in short, I'm saying everything is true that I'm putting down here. And then basically it says that if it's found that this information is false intentionally or whatever else, you run the risk of basically being fired or separated. So be honest as well as you can be. Don't think you're going to have a chance to maybe explain things, but be honest as much as you can be, because it can be the reason to release you. Failure to submit all the required documentation on time or in the format requested. It's not uncommon, again, for departments to say, hey, by this time, by this date, please send us this. Send us a copy of your CPR, your EMT, your high school diploma, your whatever. And it's amazing how many candidates can't do that. And they get rejected because they don't do it on time. And for whatever reason, I've heard the excuses. Well, I thought it was Saturday. Oh, I got my dates mixed up. Or, oh my God, I forgot That's not our problem. There's plenty of other people that want the job that actually followed instructions. Don't be one of those that disqualifies yourself before you even get to the end and, before you even get a job offer. But if you're disqualifying yourself now because you can't follow simple instructions, there's probably a good reason why you're not getting all the way to the end. Maybe you're not meant to be a firefighter at that point in time. So detail-oriented is key. Maybe history of driver license suspensions, revocations. I mean, the average person never gets their driver's license suspended or taken away, let alone multiple times. So hopefully that's not you in that case. I'm not saying one time will be your demise, but try not to do it at least one time, let alone multiple times. History of auto insurance cancellations or lack of auto insurance. And you may be the one that says, well, I don't drive, so I don't have a car, I use rideshare, which is great, but you're gonna have to drive fire department vehicles, so you're still gonna need a license in most departments just to apply. Even if you're not driving the fire engine, you're still gonna need a license and hopefully a good track record of driving, because most departments are self-insured, and if you come to us with a lot of accidents, you're a liability waiting to happen, and we don't need that. Some other things I've seen on different application packets: history of injected steroids, history of selling or manufacturing drugs or narcotics, any illegal drug use in the last 2 years. I know the question comes up, well, marijuana is now legal, you know. Yeah, it is in some states, but on the job, most departments have said, no, you can't use it on the job because of federal laws. So that's all, it's a convoluted issue. The cleanest thing is to not do any of it. And if you're having to ask and question, well, is that legal or not illegal in this state? Or, but when I lived in Colorado, that was legal, but what's the, again, if you're having to ask these questions, you're probably, yeah, don't be in that position. The cleanest thing is not have any of that at all. Being at fault in 3 or more traffic violations in the past 3 years. So again, we're going to look at your driving record. We're going to ask about it on that background packet. You're going to see, list every accident you've ever had, list every ticket you've ever had, parking ticket, moving violation ticket. We're going to ask, you know, we're going to see if you have a history of greater than 3 moving violations in the last 3 years. We're going to ask about history of convictions, felonies, some misdemeanors. Now there's some people that say, well, if I got a misdemeanor or felony, I got no chance in hell to be a firefighter. Well, never say never. And I say that because stranger things have happened. I mean, most fire departments will not hire a convicted felon, but given how times are today, anything is possible. I've heard of stories of convicted felons and people with misdemeanors that have gotten hired, and you're like, how the hell did they pass the background? Well, they were honest on their background. So when they filled out their background, they were honest. They listed everything accurately. And obviously they were probably asked about it during the background investigation or by the fire chief. And that person, he or she, was able to tell or convince the fire chief, that was a mistake I made 5 years ago, 10 years ago, please take a chance in me. And for whatever reason they do. Stranger things have happened. My advice is try not to, if you haven't yet to if you've yet to get a felony or misdemeanor, try not to get them at all. It just keeps things a lot cleaner. So if you have any military experience, any military discipline, such as a court-martial or dishonorable discharge, can go against you, because they will ask for your military records if you served. History of inappropriate, illegal, or unethical behavior and or activity. And again, if you're having to ask, well, Chief Steve, what's inappropriate? What's illegal? What's unethical? If you have to be told or suggested what fits in that category, that's probably part of the problem. But again, the illegal stuff should be obvious. And then there's people, well, I was never caught. Okay, well, yeah, but I mean, no one expects squeaky clean people. It's, you know, everyone's got skeletons in their closet. Your goal is to try to have very few of them, and hopefully they were a long time ago, not current or not recent. Any theft, dishonesty, and or any other character issues that may bring discredit to you, but not just you, but also your employment with the fire department should they hire you. Because again, people say, well, when I'm wearing the uniform, it's one thing, but when I'm off duty, that was just off duty, I got arrested. Well, maybe, maybe not. Your off-duty behavior, if there's a determination, if there's a nexus to your employment, there's a good chance that off-duty behavior could be making you, could hold you accountable for on-duty stuff. So do your homework on that. Again, try just to be clean, and on-duty, off-duty, just try to be a good, solid individual, good human being. From one fire department, to narrow it down a little more, one fire department had this on their application packet, and I'll explain what type A convictions are. They said no type A convictions during the past 36 months and no more than 1 type A conviction in the last 5 years. They also had no more than 1 type B conviction, I guess a lower level conviction during the past 1 year, and no more than 2 type Bs in the last 3 years. A little confusing when you first look at it, but I'll show what an A and a B is in a second here. So basically they want no type A within the last 3 years, and basically no more than 1 in the last 5 years. So nothing in 3 years, not more than 1 in 5 years. What they called type A convictions driving while intoxicated, which could be, even if marijuana is legal, you're still driving buzzed, and that could still be held against you too. So it's not just alcohol, but driving while intoxicated, or maybe not intoxicated, but just driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol. That's why I tell people, even if it's one beer, I won't drive, because they're like, well, it's one beer, you're not over the legal limit. Well, how do I know? I don't have a breathalyzer. I don't feel the need to have a breathalyzer because I don't drive drunk. If I'm going to have a beer, I'm going to Uber, rideshare, Lyft, something, or have somebody else drive me. I'm not going to put myself in that position, because even under one, I'm maybe not at the legal limit, but I'm still potentially under the influence. And I don't want that on my breath. And it's just, yeah, just stay away from that. It's just the cleanest. I'm not trying to be a purist. I'm not trying to be a very simple person, but this stuff, I see this stuff screw up careers. And I mean, careers that are on the job, people on the job, and people that want the job. Reckless driving, speed contests, driving while suspended with your license, for example, maybe hit and run, maybe grand theft auto. And you may go, huh? You'd be amazed, unfortunately, some of the background investigations that, you know, that fire departments see across the country. It's amazing, some of the people that apply for fire departments. And I'm not saying they can't get hired or won't get hired, because there are some people that say, you know what, I'll take a chance on them anyway. But again, I wouldn't want to have to make that decision. And I wouldn't want to be in that position to have to hope the chief throws me a bone. Other type A convictions that you have that this department, now I know this was one department, but this is probably pretty common across the country in many departments. They said no driving while in possession of open alcohol containers. Should be obviously obvious. No aggravated assault with a motor vehicle, negligent homicide arising out of the use of a motor vehicle, using a motor vehicle for a commission of a felony. Well, it's just the driver. He's the one that robbed the bank. Well, you're the driver. You shouldn't have even put yourself in that position. So you're an accomplice. So depending on the group of folks that you hang out with and the things they do, you got to be very careful, because those friends of yours or even family members may actually be setting you up for failure, or permitting maybe a non-licensed person to drive. Those were like these were like the bad convictions this department didn't want. And then when it comes to the type B convictions, the lower level stuff, basically was any other moving traffic violation that wasn't listed in the previous 2 pages. So obviously speeding, but not excessively, unsafe lane changes, driving with, you know, little things like that. Again, I'm not saying that's right, that's common, but again, I've seen a lot more and more departments actually post on their employment sites or on the job announcements or on their, you know, human resource website, these are the things we're looking for. So if nothing else, learn from these mistakes so you hopefully don't do the same mistakes. And as I shared earlier, just remember that what one fire department may disqualify you for may not matter to another fire department. Again, it all depends on the fire chief at hand, the city manager, the city council, the hiring panel, you know. But to me, the best piece of advice ever given to me is, you know what, besides don't do stupid stuff that's going to cost you a job, but also there's a fire department out there for each of us if we never give up. I had a fire chief say that. He goes, Steve, you may have to find, it may take you 100 tests to find your department that hires you. It may take you 1,000 tests. It may take you 5. It may take you 50. You may have to go out of state. It may be local. But if you don't give up, there's a fire department out there that'll hire you. And I think that's true. But the key is most aren't willing to, you know, stick it out that long. But you know what? I've known a lot of people with some pretty crappy backgrounds with some of these things mentioned, and they got hired. Don't ask me how. But again, as we've discussed by now, the oral interview is pretty much 100% of your score. So that oral interview panel obviously felt there was value to you. Maybe because you sold that, hey, that was a mistake made way back when. I've learned from that mistake. It's been, 10 years. I'll never do it again. Here's what I've done since then. I don't know. But again, it can happen, but try not to put yourself in that position. So as always, thank you very much for the gift of your time. My contact information, social media presence, please don't hesitate to reach out if I can ever be of assistance. So until the next time, stay safe, be well, and we'll see you soon. All right, take care, everybody.